Welcome, everyone. I am John Ryan. This is the MLB Full Count Show, powered by SportsMemo TV and brought to you by the cast of shows called The Predictive Playbook. I'm your host, and I'm pleased to have Jesse Schule in the house, live from Vancouver, British Columbia. The guy is. And then we have Ronald Cabang on the show as well. Ronald, this is the second time being my co-host with the NBA show this morning. So if you didn't see the NBA show and you're watching this, you definitely want to get and watch that one too. We had some really good nuggets in that show. We've hit 63% against the spread over 87 shows in that one. And this show, I'm told we're doing pretty well too. And this is a money line type of show. So ROI is what matters, folks, not win percentage. Don't listen to somebody that says they're hitting 80% in Major League Baseball because they actually might be losing their you-know-what with real money because they're betting minus 200 favorites all the darn time. In fact, I'm going to start the show off with one of the things we talked about yesterday in the show, minus 200 favorites. Okay, Pittsburgh beats the Dodgers 5-1 2 nights ago, and they were 210, I think. So now you have to win 3 games in a row just to show a profit. Secondly, I ran a query. Favorites that are on the road of 200 or more that lose and then are installed as 200 or more favorites on the road again, like the Dodgers were, hit at 72% on the run line. It's a massive, I don't know if it's short term or when it's going to be long term, but anytime a big time favorite loses on the road, minus 200 or more, you want to bet them the next day on the run line if they are minus 200 or more again. So welcome to the show, guys. Let's get right to it. We have first game we're going to look at here is the Houston Astros, and they are going up against the Minnesota Twins for the second night in a row. Houston won last night, and I know that because Minnesota was my lone loser on my premium card with my all-access clients yesterday. You got to tip your hats to the Astros. They started out pretty weak, but Dusty Baker tweaked the lineup, inserting many guys into the top of the order, including Chas McCormick, and it seemed to spark the team. And now Altuve is back, and they seem to be the offense that we know to be the Houston Astros. But the Minnesota Twins, have a very good pitcher on the hill tonight, and Chris Archer. Now, you have to call him a veteran. And, he's a very talented starter. He's pitching at home against Jose, and I can never say this guy's name correct. I apologize. Urquidy. So this is a great matchup. The betting line reflects that as well with the Minnesota only is a minus 120 favorite. That's essentially pick 'em, folks, in baseball language. Let's start with Jesse Schule and see what he has for us as a possible best bet in this game.
Well, John, this game doesn't excite me that much as far as best bets go, but perhaps a bit of a lean here. But, of course, the Astros won game 1, 5-0. Verlander came close to throwing another no-hitter, and it seems like no-hitters are a dime a dozen in the major leagues these days. Houston's won 8 straight, 12-2 in their last 14. They're still a game back of LA in the AL West. And the Twins are also hot, winners of 14 of 18. Chris Archer, as you mentioned, has been solid despite not earning a decision in 5 starts. His average outing has only lasted 4 innings, though, which could be a reason for concern. And Jose Urquidy, I call him, but Ronnie says it's Urquidy.
Urquidy, yeah.
He's got an ERA of 1.54 at home. An ERA of 7.07 on the road. That's a small sample, so I was not going to read too much into that. I'd probably stay away from the side here. Just 2 hot teams, two pitchers that look more than capable. Kind of a pick-em game. But the trends are screaming under. The under is 12-2-2 in the Twins' last 16 as a home dog. Under 15-5-3 in the Twins' last 23 versus right-handed starters. And the under is 10-1 in the Astros' last 11 road games against a right-handed starter. So a slight lean on the under.
Good job, Jesse. I like the breakdown. I like that under bet as well as a potential bet. I'm leaning that way. You can see it. I'm leaning under. But seriously, Ronald, if you look at that chart in front of us, you just take a look at the arrows, and you don't even have to look at what the column headers are. But everything
hmm
seems to be pointing towards Houston. Is there any reason you see to be betting on Minnesota tonight?
For me in this specific matchup, I think we talk about in gambling, spot plays. For me, this spot play is on the Astros here. I know Urquidy and Chris Archer are to me, Urquidy he's a much better pitcher than what his ERA shows. Last season, he finished under 4 ERA, 3.62 ERA in 20 starts. This season, he's starting off a little bit off, over 4 points. Was it 4.5 right now? But I think he's gonna progress as the season goes on, and it'll come back to where he normally is, under 4 ERA. And today, I think is probably going to be one of those nights where he does well. Specifically in night games, if we look at how the Astros and the Twins do, Astros are actually 2-0 in night games when Jose starts, and then on the Twins side, they're 0-3 in night games when Archer starts. So this is a spot play for me. I think the Astros get it done full game.
I like it, Ronald. I like it. And I was just pulling up some of the StatCast stuff I like to look at. And in the StatCast, hard hit percentage. The Astros are rising up the board here, and they are 10th right now with a hard hit percentage of 40.9, but they are light years, and I mean light years behind the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Yankees are 48.5% of their contact is considered hard hit percentage. That doesn't mean it's a hit.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been a live drive out. It could have been a hard ground ball that ended up being a double play. But that is a scary lineup. Their barrel percentage is by far the best in the majors at 12.2%. That compares to the Astros at 9.1%. The Twins are actually surprisingly good. And this is the part of the team that really catches my eye, is that the bats, maybe they don't have the names. Maybe they don't have the the power to hit 450-foot home runs, but their hard hit percentage is just tenths of a percentage better than the Astros. They rank actually 6th in Major League Baseball, and barrel percentage is 10.2. They're one of only 5 teams with a double-digit barrel percentage. So I think I'm leaning with the under on this one, despite what I just said about the offensive. Because the pitching matchup, I think, with Urquidy, the pitcher of record.
Jose.
Jose, let's go with Jose.
Jose, yeah. Yep. JU. There. Anyway, I think the pitching matchup actually will silence these bats. And the only thing I don't like about Jose is his exit velocity has been averaging about 91.5 miles an hour, and going up against a Twins lineup that I just said has the ability to crush the ball makes it a bit of a tough lean with the under. But I think that's what I'm going to leave here with the game. So I think we probably have a better game coming up that will be more entertaining for us. The Boston Red Sox. And I was the host yesterday, I believe, and I think that was one of my best bets for the premium clients. I apologize. I forget who I actually had on the show yesterday, and that's because of the fact that I'm over the age of 40, but not over the age of 50. So this matchup here is the Boston Red Sox, who are probably the best team that has a losing record that I've seen probably in at least the last 5 years, if not the last decade. So don't take their losing record as a flash stat. In fact, don't even look at the flash stats with baseball. They really don't tell you what the heck is going on with a team, or how they match up, or how they did. If they batted, they had 3 hits the last game, how they respond. That's what matters. But the Red Sox play in the toughest division in baseball, the American League East, with those Yankees I mentioned, with the Toronto Blue Jays, with the Tampa Bay Rays, and even the Baltimore Orioles offensively right now are starting to hit the ball. So it's a division that they are just going to, like the Big Ten Conference in football, like the SEC, they're going to beat the daylights out of each other. And hopefully one of them is not going to be too exhausted to remember that they have to win the World Series. Anyway, in this matchup, we are going up against the reigning world champion Atlanta Braves, and another pretty decent pitching matchup here. The Boston Red Sox won 9-0 last night. You would think that Atlanta would bounce back here after a shutout home loss. What do you think, Jesse Schule? Is there any opportunities in this game?
Well, it was nice to see Boston get a win last night, snapping a 5-game losing streak, but they're still last place in the AL East at 11-19 overall. And with James Paxton and Chris Sale on the DL, Nate Eovaldi steps in as their ace at the moment, first on the depth chart. His last 2 road starts, he allowed 2 runs on 8 hits, striking out 13 over 14 innings. Nice numbers, but he got no run support. Boston lost both those games. We got Ian Anderson going for the Braves, 3-1 with a 4.01 ERA. His ERA is a little higher than his counterpart here, but that is skewed by the fact that he got rocked in his season debut, and he's been lights out since. The Red Sox 0-6 in their last 6 coming off of a win. The Braves are 20-6 in their last 26 after allowing 5 runs or more. And the price here just screams take the home favorite. Low number. You got to like Atlanta at this price.
There you have it. You got to put a star on top of that breakdown there. The Atlanta Braves is Jesse Schule's lean. Let's check in with Ronald Cabang and see who he may have for a possible best bet or lean in this matchup.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think Eovaldi starting for the Red Sox at surface level, he's sporting a nice ERA under 3 and a WHIP slightly above 1, but I think we're going to see a little bit of regression here. He struggled a little bit with his command in his last start, and I think that's probably going to trickle into this start here. Ian Anderson had a rough start early in the season against the Reds, where he gave up 5 earned runs in just 2.2 innings, but he's been pretty consistent ever since then. And then when I look towards the bats here, to me, the bats are similar when it comes to current form, hitting batting average wise, but there's more power coming from the Braves side, averaging a little bit more on the home runs and runs per game in their last 5 games. So to me, if I'm just looking at current form, especially from the bat perspective, I think the Braves have the advantage here. So if I were to play a bet in this one, it would be towards the home favorites.
Okay, question for both you guys. A pitching matchup. Ian Anderson, I look at K percentage, walk percentage. Anderson is obviously struggling a little bit, like Ronald said. His exit velocity is right around 90 miles an hour. K percentage is only 17%. Walk percentage is almost as high, 14%. That, anything double-digit walk percentage, folks, is not good. Against Eovaldi, who is, as Jesse said, is now the ace of the staff by default because of injuries. His stats are much, much better, though, than Anderson. But he's pitching on the road. 26.3% K percentage, 4.4% walk percentage. I like seeing that. Tell me why I want to back Anderson here with the hometown Braves in this matchup going against Eovaldi, who maybe, in my opinion, a little bit underrated. Let's see what Jesse has to say about that real quick.
Well, as I mentioned, Eovaldi has looked good, especially in his last 2 road starts. He went 7 innings in both of those games, allowed 2 runs combined between those 2 games, but Boston lost both those 2 games. So essentially, Atlanta's playing better ball. They're winning games. They're at home. They're the world champs, and the price is just so low that there's no incentive to back Eovaldi as a dog here.
I can't argue it. Let's see if Ronald's probably going to say the same thing, Jesse, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I think both Jesse and I were sort of on the same side here with Atlanta, even prior to what you mentioned. But another thing, too, is Boston at night, 1-3 straight up with when Eovaldi pitches at night. So, I mean, there's like I mentioned, there's a little bit difference in how he pitches on the road versus home, day versus night. Last three outings, I believe. I think maybe Jesse mentioned this already, but 0-3 the last 3 outings for Eovaldi. So and also just current form with the bats. I feel like with bats, you want to look at momentum and how they're doing in the last few games. As far as run support, the Braves have the advantage there.
Good stuff. You talked me out of it. You talked me right from the edge of the cliff of going with Eovaldi and the Red Sox. that's why I don't have my Fenway background on today because it could cause me to make a monetary mistake. Anyway, our last game here for the Wednesday card is probably the best match of all, and I deliberately saved this for last. This is the Tampa Bay Rays visiting the Los Angeles Angels. They're playing at 7:07, which, if I remember right, is 4:07 West Coast time, and that means it's an afternoon game for Ohtani. Ohtani's going to be pitching and obviously hitting. The Rays are just a fundamentally sound team, top to bottom, and you know what? They use openers. I don't care. I don't care what they do with their pitching. They're just good. You know, they every day, day in and day out, they show up for work. They play hard. They execute well. They don't make errors. They don't hurt themselves. Angels are flying high, though. You know, they coming off the big no hitter last night with Detmer. You know, that was very cool. So, does the momentum that they have started with since the beginning of the season carry over into this game tonight against the Rays, or do the Rays come back with, a purpose, so to speak, to win this game? Let's start with Ronald Cabang this time, see what he has for us.
Yeah, I mean, so we have the lefty, Shane McClanahan against Shohei Ohtani, both pitching pretty well this season. Very similar ERA and WHIP for both of them, but the advantage to Shohei when it comes to the FIP, his FIP is at 1.54 versus 3.13 for McClanahan. The Angels bats hit pretty well against lefties overall, averaging over 6 runs per game against starting lefties. And if you look at how they've been hitting the last 5 games against lefties, 0.29 batting average. So they're seeing the ball well, especially against the lefties, and I think that continues here. One way to look at this, I think, it would be towards the over in this game. I feel like there's a good chance that both teams hit pretty well against each other and get a high scoring game here, probably around 10 runs. And that's my opinion here. If I was to look at the side, I would probably look towards the Angels as well.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Jesse Schule, what do you have for us in this matchup?
Well, with the NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs in full swing, it's hard for me to sit down and watch an entire baseball game, choosing to watch that over the NBA and NHL. But this is one game where I might make the exception. This is by far the best game on the card today. Really interesting with LA coming off that big 12-0 win and Reed Detmers throwing the no-hitter. I had a look at betting trends after no-hitters because I seem to remember a lot of guys used to say that they liked betting overs coming off of a no-hitter, with the logic being that the bookmakers are going to open with a low total after one team was no-hit. But I did some digging, and the numbers were sort of inconsequential. Between 2004 and 2019, the losing team is 18 and 27 straight up. So a pretty solid advantage for the team that was the winning team in the no-hitter. But, I mean, of course, that's expected because, let's face it, normally when a team gets no hit, they're a poor team rather than a great team. And it's the great teams that win no hitters. So that doesn't tell us much. And the under is 25 and 19 in that span. Not that significant, really. But what I'm looking at here is the pitching matchup for today's game. This has pitchers duel written all over it. Ohtani is he might have a bit of a tender hamstring. You might remember that last week he sat out a game with a sore hamstring. So I'm a little bit worried about how many innings he's going to go. McClanahan ranks 4th in major leagues in strikeouts, 47 strikeouts in 32 innings pitched. Ohtani not far behind, 41 strikeouts in 26 innings. I would have a slight lean towards the under based on the fact that these two pitchers look pretty darn good.
All right, I like that lean too. I think it's natural reaction off a no-hitter to bet the over, because that's your reaction. I mean, that's totally normal. But it is interesting that you see it in the NBA now. The totals are under 210. What's your gut reaction when you see a total before you even look at the game? It's like, oh well, this feels like an over. But it isn't, and we saw that again last night and several occasions here in the month of May with the totals steadily coming down, and yet they still go over. And the same thing with home favorites in the NBA. They're 12-0 right now as a home. That's Boston tonight. So take your pick on that trend. But we also have trends like that in Major League Baseball too. And last year we had the Chicago White Sox against left-handed pitchers, and they were 24 in a row or something. 24-3 they were. That doesn't mean they're going to be 48-6. And it did flatten out, just like a stock. A bullish stock goes up, and it surges, and then all of a sudden it stops going up, and it kind of levitates. It consolidates sideways. And then that's where the market hasn't reacted yet, and betting against those types of teams will pay off over time. I mean, it's pretty simple to do conceptually. And Jesse, what was your no-hitter thing? Because I pulled it up on the database here because I didn't have time to actually look at it yet. I have, playing on back-to-back road games, and the previous game on the road was a no-hitter. Those teams are 10-17 in the following game after a no-hitter on the road, after being no-hit on the road. Is that what you found too?
The article I pulled up had data from 2004 to 2019, so it's a 3-year-old article, but it was a decent time span, 15 years. So, but yeah, the losing team was 18-27 straight up, so that's a fairly significant edge for the winning team. But as I mentioned, it's normally the good teams that are the beneficiaries of no-hitters, and it's usually the poor teams that end up being on the wrong side. So I'm not sure that that's actually that significant in relation to the no-hitter itself. And then the under was 25-19, which is not as significant as I would expect.
Yeah, yep. And his pitch count was pretty low for a no-hitter, if I remember that box score correctly. Tell me if I'm wrong. But I've looked at no-hitters, and if the pitch count is say 20% higher than their average pitch count per start, it becomes a fade because of the extra work, especially once a pitcher gets to 90, let alone 100 pitches, and they rarely go over 100. If they get up to like 120, 125 to get that no-hitter, that extra 25 pitches is the equivalent of the first 100 pitches on that arm. So the tendency is that you would see a no-hitter that threw an inordinate amount of pitches to get it done. You'll see the velocity slow down over the next month, and then the arm builds back to strength, and then they're good. But the next couple starts can be pretty shaky for a guy coming off a no-hitter. So we'll have to look into that with Mr. Detmer. We're certainly congratulating him, wishing him to throw another no-hitter in his next start. So don't take that the wrong way either, but we are looking for money-making opportunities. So I'm going to start us off here with the best bet segment. And I have a little special slide here, and I don't know why that bar is in the middle of it, but hopefully I'm going to be able to read it. This is a betting angle. I do one for the NBA shows, and just started the NHL show betting angle of the day for the Wager Talk Puck Time. So this is the Houston Astros and Minnesota Twins. No, it isn't. It is the Tampa Bay Rays and the Angels, and we were just talking about them. So you're going to bet on American League home teams, of which the Angels are, starting a pitcher with a 1.100 or lower whip. That means that they don't allow a lot of hits, and they also have good control because they don't walk anybody. In case you don't know, whip is walks and hits per innings pitched. Facing a guest that has a starter sporting an ERA of 3.20 or better, which is certainly in the upper 25% in the American League. This simple to understand little betting angle has gone 280, 155, 64%, averaging a 115 favorite, kind of matching this line and making 10 grand for the $100 better over the last 25 seasons, and 70 and 35, 67%, averaging a 110 favorite for the $100 better over the last 5 seasons. So it's been very good in and out of every season. There's only been 3 seasons of the last 25 that were losers, and it wasn't a lot. So I'm on the Angels on the money line, minus 124, my best bet segment. Let's move off of the slides here, and let's bring up Jesse Schule here for his best bet, and we'll let Ronald Cabang be the anchor.
Well, I hate to disagree with you there, John, but I'm going to go with the opposite side. I'm looking at the Rays plus a half run for the first 5 innings. And despite losing last night's game and being no hit, the Rays are still 20-8 in their last 28 at LA. And the Angels are 1-10 in their last 11 games with a total under the number of 7. And with the pitching matchup, uh, I've mentioned it before. I'm not a big fan of Ohtani and pitching and hitting at the same time. Injuries have been a concern throughout his career. He was a little bit sore in the hamstring just last week, and he hasn't, as great as he's been. I mean, some of his starts he throws double-digit strikeouts, and he's great. Probably the majority of his starts, but occasionally he comes out with a dud, and I don't think he's been as consistent as McClanahan. So I'm gonna lean toward the Rays getting that half run. There's a good chance that we see a tie game after 5 innings in what's expected to be a pitcher's duel, and I think that there's a little bit of value with that half run.
Yeah, I have to say, if you're going against me, why do you need the plus half run, though, if you're that confident? The second thing is we can both win.
That's
and Rob
true.
Vino,
I'm
you
not,
know that from Manny's Pub. Rob
necessarily
Vino and I
going
did the ham and egg show lots of times where he would go under first 5. And if it was, remember that, it was 2 or 3 runs, and say the total was 4.5 or 5.5. It was a high scoring a game expectation. And it was 2-1 at the end of 5, I would go and bet the over then. And we did that many times on the Manny's Pub show. So I think we're going to both be right. It's going to be tied. It's going to be tied, Jesse, because that means you don't win going against me. We're tied because I'm not accepting the plus half. You can give that to your
I'll be
customers.
honest with you. If you give me the Angels plus a half run in 5 innings, I'd probably take them too.
Well, anyway, we're predicting that it's going to be tied, darn it. And then somehow the Rays bullpen, which is extremely good, is going to find a way to lose the game. Anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. You needed the plus half. So let's see what Ronald Cabang has for us for this best bet segment.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to stick with the Astros. I think this is a spot where we kind of run with the Astros 8-game winning streak here. I think another way to look at this as well is towards the under. I was looking at how Astros do with a total of 8 or greater, just blindly tailing them so far this season, 19-6 to the under. That's a lot of money there. If you just blindly tail them, I think anything over 7.5. If you see that on an Astros total, it might be wise to take the under there. Take the under there. Today on the side though, I would like to make a play on the Astros money line.
Yeah, I love it, Ronald. That's good stuff. So we have Jesse and I going head to head. I'm on the Angels full game. He's on the Rays plus a half, I might add, and he's not confident enough to bet it full game. I think that's what he said, right, Ronald? Anyway, and Ronald's
you guys can both win.
Line.
The main thing is both of you guys can win. That's a good thing.
Hey, if it's 1-1 or 2-2 or 0-0 after the 5th, somebody's going to look
good.
Pretty good.
I know.
Well, in this matchup, I think humbly said, Jesse, if you're seeing a game that's 1-1, 1-0, you've drank too much and you're watching a hockey game instead of a baseball game.
All right.
Yeah, because you said you would watch a hockey game, but this is a matchup that would intrigue you to watch the baseball.
I don't mind a 1-0 baseball game, to be honest. If it's a pitcher's duel, I'm not a guy that watches sports purely for offense. I love the 1990s, 1980s NBA era of 89 to
87,
87
60.
games,
Yeah, so we might have in Boston tonight, to be honest with you. We might have, no autopsy, no foul is what we used to say when I was younger. We used to play on the street, no autopsy, no foul. But the way these guys are playing, I've never seen flops rewarded so much. Can you imagine if there was flopping in baseball? Like a guy comes running home and then he makes pretend that he got hammered by the catcher. Or the catcher actually
in that direction, aren't we?
Yeah. Or how about if
Crazy
the
slides
umpire
and
does
stuff
a
like
flop
that.
when the manager comes out and starts talking to him and points at him and going like that, accidentally touches him, and then it falls down like he was hit by a truck.
I got good news for you guys. No Scott Foster tonight in either of the NBA games.
And that's
Well,
good.
it's
That's
really
good news.
so that makes a point, Ronald. On our show, I said that the officiating was better last night. So his lack of presence means that the NBA is now comfortable with how they're calling the games, I guess.
Yeah.
Somebody just published an article that the team trailing in an elimination game is 20-5 in Scott Foster's career as crew chief.
Straight up or against the spread?
Straight up. So
wow, that's
so he is like the guy that you call in to extend a series.
You're gonna need to send me that link. I want to see that.
No problem.
That's amazing.
Is an official like him allowed to come into the game as a sub? Like, say a referee gets hurt, and then he's brought into the game because they need a ref. Is that possible? No, I'm being silly.
That sounds crazy. That sounds crazy.
It is. Tony Finn would like it though. Anyway, that'll wrap up today's show. Thank you for your best bets, gentlemen. And I'm going to make a point here. This isn't our best bets necessarily that we put out on sportsmemo.com. These are show best bets. Sometimes they do align with what we give our premium clients. And most of the time we'll tell you on the show that this is a premium. But sometimes, we do have to make some money. And you could get the premium bet, not know it till tomorrow. But I wanted to make that point very clear that these are show best bets, but these are bets that we are confident to take to the window and bet ourselves. They're not just free picks. Okay. Well, anyway, that'll do it for today's Full Count Show. Thanks again for your time, gentlemen. And we'll be back again tomorrow, Thursday, with another edition of the Full Count Show, and I will be hosting that again. It'll be a blast, I assure you. So until then, enjoy the NBA, enjoy the NHL, and especially in Major League Baseball. Bet with your head, not over it, and may all the wins be yours.